All right, we are live. I hope that my sound is fixed and that everybody can hear me. I hope you all can hear me pretty well. See if our sound is fixed. Let's see. Oh, you can hear now. Okay, great. Thank you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm glad you guys can hear now. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to start over because the other videos I'm going to go ahead and delete. But welcome to the Bible study. I'm so glad that you're here and you can hear. We are so excited to continue to read in Exodus tonight. So, what we're doing is we're trying to get through the Holy Bible in a year. We think that'd be awesome. So, we read about 2 chapters a night. We read every single weeknight, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So, this is my Bible. This is what it looks like. We read the King James Version. I know we don't speak the King's English anymore, but I take the time to break it down and make sure that we understand. We read a little bit, then we pause, we reflect, we digest, and then we keep on reading. So I'm so glad to be able to go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have one person that said they can hear me and another person that says no sound. Okay, please stop doing that. All right, so we are good to go. So I want to go ahead and start with the prayer, and then we'll get into the recap, and then we will go ahead and start reading. All right, so Father God, we are so, so grateful for this opportunity to be here right now, to have this Bible study, to hold your word in our hands. Father God, we ask that you will bless this Bible study, that we get what we need for our lives from this Bible study. We ask that you would remove any confusion. We ask that you would open up our understanding, and most importantly, allow this Bible study to draw us closer to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, where we are right now is in Exodus. So we read through Genesis already. Genesis was definitely a lot. So we read about the fall of mankind after Adam and Eve bit the fruit. And we saw just how wickedness was inevitable, right? It was like people couldn't control themselves. And that started with Cain. Like he just couldn't control himself. Even God mentioned to him that he was not going to have any control over himself, and that um it was just like nothing he could do. But still, through that, we still followed this lineage of men who were determined to follow God, who were determined to walk with integrity, who were determined to just live differently, act differently, be different, speak different, right? And we saw how they were determined to put God in their lives and carry God with them and invite God into their decision making process throughout their lives. And we saw how their lives were completely different from everyone else's life. We saw how, even though there were wars and there were famines and there was all these things happening in the world, they were pretty much untouched by that. They might have been displaced and relocated and shuffled around a little bit, but God was still with them to the point where they were able to prosper greatly in situations where like the world was not prospering. And so we saw how loving God and how following God, how inviting God into your decision making process allows for your life to be so much different and so much better than the average life. It's so much more fruitful, so much more abundant than the average life. So that's what we read about in Genesis. Now we're in Exodus and we're on chapter 2, and we're following another Hebrew, another young man whose name is Moses. And Moses at this time is living his best life, right? He is living his best life. So the start of Moses' story is he was born a Hebrew, and there were two decrees given by Pharaoh. The first decree was that every Hebrew what every Hebrew male was to be ended. Their life was to be ended at birth. So Pharaoh put out a decree to the midwives to end their lives at birth. And the midwives were just like, nah, I can't do it, bruh. Can't do it. First of all, these are little tiny little lives. Why would you do that? Right. But most importantly, the midwives, even though they were Egyptian, and Egyptians have a whole religion that is just like extra, right? They're worshiping false gods. They're worshiping the sun, the moon, the stars, all this stuff. They're doing witchcraft and sorcery and all of this stuff. Even though that's true for the Egyptians, these midwives, because they had worked with the Hebrew women, knew of God and they knew of the power of God. And they said, nah, we ain't touching that, bruh. Mm-mm. Find somebody else to do it. Right? So it angered Pharaoh, but it pleased God. So these midwives found favor in God's eyes. And that's what's most important. Skip Pharaoh, right? So then Pharaoh said, since y'all won't listen, how about it don't matter who the baby is? If there's a male born in Egypt, his life is to be ended immediately, right? So now you have women who are hiding the birth of their children. And one woman in particular creates this little ark, right? So she takes twigs and sap and all of that, and she puts this little ark together and makes it have like a little pitch so that he can breathe, right? And she sends her baby off into the water and just prays over him, God bless, right? She turns and walks the other way, but his life is saved. Well, Pharaoh's daughter ends up finding the basket in the water while she's bathing with her maid servants, and takes him in as her own and says, we need someone to nurse this baby. Why don't you go get one of the servants, one of the slaves, to nurse this baby? Well, the maid servant goes out and actually appoints one of the Hebrew women to nurse this baby. And it just so happens to be Pharaoh's mother. I'm sorry, not Pharaoh's mother. Moses' mother. So we see God already working in Moses' life and in this woman's life, right? This Hebrew woman's life. And she's reunited with her baby. She gets to nurse him, help him grow, right? While he's technically being raised in the palace. Well, as Moses becomes a young man, he is not happy with the way that the slaves are being treated. Just not at all. He can't take it. Can't take it so much that he sees this one man being whipped by an Egyptian taskmaster, and he goes out and he ends the man. And then he gets checked about it. He gets scared and he's like, I got to get out of here. He ends up running away, and he runs away to this random place. He's just sitting at the well. And what he does is he ends up finding these women there, saving them from some people that was harassing them. The women go home, tell their father. The father's like, hey, and you left him. You didn't say thank you or nothing. So they bring the man in. He ends up getting, which is Moses. He ends up marrying one of the daughters, Zipporah. And now Moses is living his best life. But the Egyptians are still torturing and brutally, and have these Hebrews under brutal slavery. It is bad. So now we're at the point where God has remembered his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and is now, after 400 years, coming to rescue these Hebrews through his power and through his might, so that he can show off to the Egyptians. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue to read. We have read all the way through to chapter 3. So we're going to start in Exodus chapter 3 in the King James Bible. I'm going to just go ahead and start reading. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And the Lord saw that he turned aside to see. God called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people, which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land unto a good land, and a large, and to a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now, therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me. And I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppress them. Come now, therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moses said unto God, Who am I, that thou shouldest go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children out of Egypt? And he said, Certainly I will be with thee. This is God talking. And this shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. And Moses said unto God, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel and say unto them, The God of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say unto me, What is his name? And what shall I say unto them? And God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. So we're going to pause right there, because this is a lot. So Moses is walking through the land, and he notices that there is a tree, like a little small tree, a little small bush, not too big, about 4 feet tall. No, but there's this bush and it's on fire. But when wood catches fire, it holds the fire for a second, right? But then it starts to char and to crumble. And it's not charring and it's not crumbling. It's not, the fire gets to certain parts that are weak, right? And the twigs start snapping. And y'all have seen fire before, right? You may have had a fireplace and the wood holds the fire for a minute, but then that wood starts to collapse on itself, right? It starts to burn. It starts to wither away, right? You see the little flecks going up the fireplace and stuff, right? That's not happening. So my man's is walking and he like, what in the science fiction is going on around here? Right? So he like, I got to go check that out. So the Lord, seeing that he's going to check out the bush, has come down to talk to him and says, stop, take your shoes off. This is holy ground. So he then begins to talk to Moses and tell him that he's seen the affliction of the Hebrews and he wants to rescue them, and he wants to use Moses to do it. And what does Moses say? Who am I? Like, what you using me for? Right? And we have to pay attention to that, because why not you? Everybody wants to say, well, not me. You know, I'm just lowly. I'm just this. I'm just not. And I've done that before too. When God told me to start these Bible studies, I was like, why me? But the real question is, why not you? Right? To say why me is fake humility. And that's what God told me a couple days ago, because I was in the car and I'm driving and I'm talking to God, and I had an hour and a half coming back from from the city, and I'm talking to God, and he says, why not you? And that just like, ooh, that just humbled me. Why not you? When we say why me, and we try to act like, oh, that's humility. Oh, I'm nobody. I'm nothing. That's not humility. Humility is obedience. And that got me. I said, I'm in the car and I'm just listening to God respond to me and say, that's not humility to say, why me? Obedience is the humility. Can you humble yourself down to follow me? Oh my goodness. That just like, you talking about getting slapped and turning the other cheek. I was like, whoa, I never thought about it that way. The humility is in being obedient. That's where humility comes from. Why not you? You belong to him. Why can't he do whatever he wants with you? Why are you putting parameters on what God can do with you? Who are you to say what God can do? Dang, that cut me. That cut me. Who are you to tell God that he can't use you? That's not humility. That's arrogance. When you say, why me? That's arrogance. That's pride. Not humility. Who are you to tell God what he can and cannot do? Yikes. That cut me deep. I said, oh, in that case, what you want me to do now? You want me to turn left or turn right? Because I was going to go home, but I'll go where you I'm driving like, I'll go where you tell me to go at this point. Wow. The humility is the obedience. That shook me. I will never be the same after that. Okay. So he does the who am I, right? But God says, look, I'm going to be with you. Don't worry about none of that. I'm going to be with you. Okay. And when they ask you who sent you, say, I am that I am. I am sent you. And the beautiful thing about I am is that we don't understand what that means. And we can sit here and we could talk about how powerful it is, but you will never understand, because you will never exist outside of space, time, and matter. God exists outside of space, time, and matter. So he is inexplicable. He is who he is. He is that I am. Golly. And there's no way we are ever going to be able to break that down, to be able to digest that. That's just, listen, verse 3, we in chapter 3, and it is just powerful already. There is no way to break that down, to make us be able to understand how powerful that is, because we don't know what it's like to exist outside of space, outside of time, and outside of matter. But this phrase sums it up as best as it can for our little teeny tiny human brains. It does what it can do, for our little tiny human brains, right? Like, oh my gosh. So let's keep reading. And that phrase is so powerful that we need to even be careful in our daily lives. because we in English, other languages don't do this as much as the English language does. But the English language is very possessive, right? So in other languages, when you study other languages, like when you study Mandarin, when you study Japanese, when you study German, things of that, like other languages that are outside of this Greek origin type language that we have with English, this Latin type language. When we study other languages outside of those building blocks, what you find is that they don't possess things the way that we do. When they say, "Who am I?" they start talking about their character, right? When we say, "I am," or "Who am I?" or "How are you?" we start to possess things that don't belong to us, like sickness. I am sick. I am sleepy. I am tired. I have ADHD. I am dyslexic. I have arthritis. We start to possess these things, and that's not meant for us to possess. You might experience some of those things, right? You might be experiencing the symptoms of a sickness, but you don't have to possess that. So in the English language, we almost have to even be very careful of our words, because you don't need to possess those things. When you say "I am," that is God's name. So you only want to associate those things that are good, that are wonderful, that are true, that are pure with the phrase "I am." Everything else might be an experience, but it's short term. So we have to even be careful in that phrase. So we're going to pick up reading Exodus chapter 3, verse 15. And God said, moreover unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, hath sent me unto you. This is my name forever. And this is my memorial unto all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together and say unto them, unto them, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken unto thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and ye shall say unto him, the Lord God of the Hebrews hath met with us. And now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go. No, not by a mighty hand. So let's pause right there. Something God told me about a year ago. Was it a solid year? Maybe not even a solid year, maybe something like 6 months ago. But he said, I will never send you somewhere, give you an assignment, tell you to do something without preparing you first. And I was like, what? Because how many times do we feel unprepared? But again, that's arrogance. That's not factual. It's just not. So what I've noticed, even in reading throughout Genesis, wherever God sent them, whatever God told them to do, there was always preparation beforehand. Before he set Adam and Eve on the earth to be fruitful and to multiply, what did he do? He created the earth first. He put all the systems in place, the seasons in place, the day, the night. He planted all of the flowers and the trees, and the food that they would need was already here. And the cycles of the earth replenish itself. It says there was not a man to till the ground, right? There was no need for that, because the dew comes up in the morning and it waters the grass, and the grass grows, and the birds, play their part with pollination, and the bees play their part with pollination, and the animals, they graze and they keep the grass from getting too long. And it's everything was already in place. The animals were in place. Everything was in place. Then he sat Adam and Eve down and said, be fruitful and multiply. But everything was already in place. When he told Abraham to go unto a land that I will send you, the land was already there. Everything he needed was there. The space that he needed, everything was there. Before he sent Abraham to Egypt during the famine, everything was already set up for him to be able to prosper, to make more money, to be able to, provide for his family and his flocks and everything. He already had favor with all of the kings, with Abimelech and all of them. He already had favor with them. And they already looked on him as a great man of God. He already had what he needed. Before Jacob had to run away from Esau and go to his mother's house. Let's even back up. When the top servant in Abraham's house went to go find Isaac a wife, and he said, God, I need you to, this is the servant talking, not Abraham talking. The servant said, God, if you sending me on this mission, then you already know who the wife is. So when I ask for water, let that be the one that gives me water. God was already setting it up, and he knew that God had already set it up. He said, God, if I'm doing this, then that means you already know who the chick is. Point me in the right direction. And God did. And then when he went back to the girl's house, which was Rebecca, when he went back to Rebecca's house, they embraced him with open arms. They was like, come on in. Oh my goodness. We can't believe it's you. They didn't even know him. They didn't even know him, right? But he already, sorry, trying to refocus the camera so I don't blind y'all. But he was already embraced. He was already loved. And then they saw that he had put all of these bracelets and stuff on her and had her looking sharp. And they was like, oh yeah, we like you. He got money. Right? Every assignment that these men were sent on, God had already prepared the way. So God is already telling Moses, I want you and the chief elders of the Hebrews to go. I want all of y'all to go together to Pharaoh, which they did not show that in the movie, now did they? And I love Prince of Egypt, but he said, I want all of y'all to go together, and I want you to know that he's going to say no. He's already preparing him. He's already preparing him. Again, God is so gentle with us. God is so gentle because he didn't have to tell him that you're going to have a hard time and all this other stuff, but don't worry about it. I'm going to be with you. I'm going to make sure these men is prepared to go with you. You're not going to go alone. All of this stuff, right? So God is so gentle, so gentle. When it comes to the trials, the tribulations, and all of that other stuff, God is still gentle. He's still there with us. He's still giving us the tea, letting us know what's about to happen, preparing us and telling us, hey, you're going to be persecuted for my name's sake. It is what it is. Okay? But I got you. Just don't worry about it. So we're going to pick up reading in verse 20. And I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all my wonders. which I will do in the midst thereof. And after that, he will let you go. But only after God shows himself to the Egyptians. So mind you, God is doing a couple things here. A couple things. He's keeping his promise to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, because he came to all three of them, letting them know what he was going to do. So he's keeping his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because he said that your children, you're going to have more children than you can count, right? More than the sand on the beach. That's a promise. But they're also going to be afflicted for 400 years. But I'm also going to come and rescue them. So he's keeping his promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, that's number one thing that he's doing. The number two thing that he's doing is he's continuing to bless this lineage of men, these generations of men, this family tree. He's continuing to show himself in their lives, to show him his greatness. And then another thing that he's doing is he's showing himself to the world. These Egyptians don't know God. So this is an opportunity for God to show them, this is who I am. Come to me, love me, and I will love you. How do you know that I will love you? What's your guarantee? Because look at these Hebrews. I have kept them. I have loved them. I have made them to prosper. I have made them to multiply. I am protecting them even now, allowing them to be let go, to be set free. They're standing up, right? God is with them. Even the midwives already understand who God is, right? So he's showing himself to the world, because remember, the world has fallen. They have fallen into wickedness, into evil. So now he gets an opportunity. He's creating, because he is the creator. So he is creating the opportunity to show himself to the world, to these people who have fallen from his grace. So there's a lot going on. God is very intentional. So we're just following all the things that God has planned for this mission. So verse 21, and I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, and it shall come to pass that when you go, ye shall not go empty, but every woman shall borrow of her neighbor, and of her that sojourneth in her houses, jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And ye shall put them upon your sons and upon your daughters, and ye shall spoil the Egyptians. So now he's telling them that it's going to be 3 days journey. Clock that, y'all. It was supposed to be a 3 days journey. Some of us know the bigger story. So for those of us who don't know, clock it. It's supposed to be 3 days journey. One more time. 3 days. Okay. This is the original plan of God. This is the original plan. Okay. Now, they're not going to leave empty-handed. Every woman shall borrow of her neighbor. Why does it say every woman? Because traditionally at this time, the women were the ones in the Egyptians' houses, right? Being maid servants and cooking and cleaning and nursing the babies and doing all of that, right? The men were the one traditionally outside slaving away on that aspect, right? Putting brick and mortar. When we read in chapter, I believe we read in chapter 1 of the affliction of the children of Israel made to serve them, verse 14, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick, right? And in all manner of service in the field. and their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. So we got the Egyptians are making the Hebrews to serve in every capacity. And mostly the men are outside brick and mortar. They building these big Egyptian cities, and they're, doing the upkeep, and they're doing all of this, building statues and all of this other stuff. And the women are in the houses. They're the midwives and all this other stuff, the servants and all that. So the women, he says, every woman shall borrow of her neighbor. So they're going to go into the Egyptian's house and get the gold, the silver, the jewels, the raiment, right? So that the Hebrews, they're not leaving empty-handed. God said, y'all gonna leave here with something. Right? Y'all gonna leave here with something, which God always does. He did it to Abraham when he had to go to Egypt for the famine. He did it with Isaac when he had to leave for the famine. He came back with more than he left with. Abraham came back with more than he left with. When Jacob left, he didn't have nothing. He left as a very young man. And when he came back with more than he left with. He came back with 2 wives, 2 concubine wives, a bunch of kids. I think at the time he had 13 children. He had and I say 13 because one of them was a woman. Her name was Dinah. But the 12 tribes of Israel was the 12 boys. So he had all of these kids. He had all of this cattle and stuff because he had worked to produce something for himself. But God didn't let him go empty-handed. Joseph didn't go empty-handed. Joseph was Pharaoh over Egypt. He was governor over Egypt. So he never leaves his people empty-handed, right? And at this point, they're going to literally go plunder Egypt before they leave. So they don't leave empty-handed. They're not just going out with, with the clothes on their back. So keep that in mind. This is going to happen. It ain't going to happen quickly, but it's going to happen. All right. So now we're in chapter 4. And we can get through this in the next couple minutes. And Moses answered and said, behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. And the Lord said unto him, what is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. Right? So a rod is like a staff, like a cane almost, right? But a stick. And he said, cast it on the ground, put it down. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it, right? Because we don't do snakes. We don't do snakes. We don't do spiders. We don't do listen, we don't do that, okay? We don't do that. We don't do snakes, we don't do spiders, we don't do none of that. Okay. So my man's was like, oh heck no. And the Lord said unto Moses, put forth thy hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand, that they might believe that the Lord God of their fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, hath appeared unto thee. And the Lord said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. So put your hand in your shirt, bruh. And he put his hand into his bosom and plucked out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me reread that because I'm doing too much. I'm trying to demonstrate. And all right. So he said, put forth thy hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, it was leprous as snow. So he put his hand into his bosom through his shirt, right? Into his skin. And behold, his hand was leprous as snow. So he had pus on his hand. And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again, as his other flesh. So his hand was back to normal. And it came to pass, and it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not believe thee, neither hearken unto the voice of the first sign, that they will believe the voice of the latter sign. He like, oh, don't worry. I'm coming again. And it shall come to pass that they will not believe also these two signs, neither hearken unto thy voice, that thou shalt take of the water of the river and pour it upon the dry land. And the water which thou takest out of the river shall become blood upon the dry land. And Moses said unto the Lord, oh my Lord, oh my, I am not eloquent, okay, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue. So my man's just like, oh my Lord, hey, whoa, this is a lot. And I have a stutter. I can't read good. You know, I don't, excuse me. I don't really have a voice. Right. So at this point, Moses is putting on, right? And he like, heck no, I can't do all of this. Right now, you telling me it's not even gonna work the first time? I got to keep going back and showing them other stuff. Like, hey, look, I don't even talk good. I can't even right. So Moses is trying to back out of this. He like, look, get somebody else to do it. Okay. So, and the Lord said unto him, who made man's mouth? See, this is, don't get on God's nerve. Don't get on God's nerve. He said, don't be arrogant out here because you belong to me. Who are you to tell me what I can do with you? Y'all know half of y'all beating popped your kids. If they talk back to you, it's like, excuse me, I brought you into this world and I can what in the comments? I can take you out. we know. So imagine the arrogance that it takes to tell God no, to tell somebody else to do it. God don't look at that as humility. Not at all. And the Lord said unto him, who made man's mouth? Or maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say. But most importantly, now therefore go. Do what I said do. Don't be out here telling me what I can and cannot do. Go do what I said do. Go clean your room. Up in here telling me what I could do, and I pay bills up in this house. You're telling me what you can and cannot do. You go clean that room because that's what I told you to do. Right? So listen, God said, don't play with me. I know what I'm doing. Okay. And if I chose you, I did it for a reason. So go do what I said do. Now, quit playing with me. And then in verse 13, and he said, oh my Lord, send, I pray thee, by the hand of him whom thou wilt send. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. I told y'all. I told y'all, don't be telling God what he can and cannot do. And that includes your prayers. And when you pray and you worry, when you pray and ask God to do something, but then you worried about how he gonna make it happen, who do you think you are? Because if you could have made it happen, then you wouldn't have to pray about it, now would you? So don't listen. Don't anger my mans, all right? Don't leave my mans alone because he don't like that. Don't get on his nerve. All right? And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Moses. And he said, is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? I know that he can speak well. And also, behold, he come forth to meet thee. And when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart. and thou shalt speak unto him and put words in his mouth. And I will be with thy mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. Okay, pause. So there's a couple things that we need to kind of get our minds focused on so that we can set the scene for what's happening. Now, even though Moses was raised in a palace because he was found by Pharaoh's daughter, he was being raised by his mother. His mother was his nurse. So we can put the pieces together. That's why he knew he was a Hebrew. He knew he was different from the other little kids running around in the palace, right? Right? Remember, his mother, when she sent him off in a basket, she already had the daughter. And the daughter was peeping game from the side, like, what's she doing with that little baby? Okay. His mother also had a habit of saving her children, regardless of what Pharaoh said, which was to get rid of all of the babies, Hebrew, Egyptian, it didn't matter. Since y'all getting on Pharaoh's nerves, Pharaoh said, get rid of all of the little sons. Okay. So yes, he has a brother, Aaron the Levite. Yes, he knows that he's Hebrew. Yes, he doesn't like seeing the Hebrews suffer because he knows that's who he is. And he knows that's who he is because he's been raised by his mother, right? That's why it's important when y'all be getting these nannies and these babysitters and stuff, it's important to vet them because you don't know what they're teaching your kids. You don't know what they telling them, what they teaching them, what they speaking over them. Y'all need to be careful, right? Y'all need to pray about who should be watching y'all kids, right? Because I'm sure Pharaoh's daughter did not know all of the stuff that this Hebrew woman was whispering into her son's ear, right? I'm sure she didn't know. So y'all got to be careful out there. But that is setting the scene for, okay, where are these different pieces coming from? Because how did he know he was even Hebrew to want to protect the Hebrews? And then he ran and all this other stuff. And now he's like got a brother. Like, what's happening here? We're putting the pieces together. Okay. So God is not happy with Moses. Moses is getting on his doggone nerve because he keep coming up with excuses not to be obedient. So God, even in his anger, is still looking out for him, right? We don't know how much grace God got, so I wouldn't test the waters. I wouldn't test the waters on that and try to figure out how much I can get away with before I got to be obedient. I'm just saying. But God is still being gracious, and he says, you know what? I'm going to send your brother with you, and you're still responsible for telling him, for talking to him though, and telling him what I said. You are still responsible. Open your mouth because you are the one that I said. So open your mouth and tell him what thus saith the Lord, right? Because you're the one that I'm using. So that's how Aaron is going to know what to say to Pharaoh. Okay, so verse 16. And he shall be thy spokesman unto the people, and he shall be to thee instead of a mouth, and thou shalt be to him instead of God. So God is telling him, I will go ahead and use Aaron as the mouthpiece only. I'm going to talk to you, and it's your responsibility to talk to Aaron. So now we have this game of telephone going on, because Moses should have just stepped up and did what God said in the first place. But now we got this game of telephone going on because God didn't choose Aaron originally. He chose Moses. So I'm still going to use you because this is my will, that you are the one. So I can give you a mouthpiece. I can give you a plan B, but you're going to have to communicate to Aaron the things that I'm telling you, because I'm not going to talk to Aaron directly. So you're not getting out of doing what I told you to do. I'm not talking to him directly. I'm talking to you. Okay. So I talk to you, You talk to Aaron. Verse 17. And thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. So again, a rod is like a big stick, right? It's like a walking stick. It's not necessarily a cane because it's not that little, it's not that short. It's longer than that. And a lot of times they would use the rod when they were sheep herders and stuff like that. And they used the rod and they would, guide the sheep and all of that other stuff, right? So they would use that to, as they're walking, they're walking through tough terrain, up mountains and all this other stuff, right? So they're using a walking stick and they call it a rod. Okay. So verse 18, and Moses went and returned to Jethro, his father-in-law, and said unto him, let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. So Moses has been gone. He's been gone for years. Now, mind you, my man's then got married. He got kids. Like, my man's was chilling. Okay. God came in and said, through the burning bush, I want you to go rescue my people. So Moses is going to go back to do that, what God said. And God is telling him, don't be afraid, because all those men that were after you, those couple years ago or however many years ago, they're all gone. They're all dead. Don't worry about that. They're not here anymore. So you don't have to worry about them basically, spilling the tea on you, right? Because spilling the beans about you going after that Egyptian and offing that other Egyptian, right? So now Moses is going, but he's going with a little bit of peace of mind that ain't nobody gonna call him out for what he did back in the day. All right. And Moses took his wife and his sons and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, when thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all the wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. So Israel being the Hebrews, right? The children of Israel, because all of these Hebrews, that is their nationality. Hebrew is their nationality. I should say their ethnicity. My apologies, because they're the Hebrew nation, but y'all know what I'm trying to say. Hebrew is their ethnicity. That is their ethnicity, but they are a nation. They are the children of Israel. So those 12 sons that Jacob had wives and children. And then those children grew up and got wives and had children. And that just kept happening, child. They were, you talking about be fruitful and multiply? Okay. So God is saying that Israel is his firstborn. These are his children. And God is claiming this nation as his own. And we know that because when we read in Genesis, and the angel of the Lord, he was wrestling with the angel of the Lord, asking for a blessing, and the angel of the Lord basically broke his hip, right? And he walked with a limp for the rest of his life. The angel of the Lord said, your name from here on out will be called Israel. And then God came to Jacob again and said, from here on out, you shall be known as Israel. And we know that at this point in our history, when a father names his son, that is a form of adoption. That is a form of him saying, this is my son. So God is so intentional that he doesn't just do the because I said so, right? But he'll even step into your traditions to make sure that there is no doubt in your mind. to make sure that there is no questions. He'll step in and say, this is how y'all do things. Check this out. I'm going to go ahead and adopt you the way that you would adopt another. He'll even step in to your traditions just so that there's no doubt in your mind that that is God, that you belong to him. So he is saying Israel is my firstborn, not just because he said so, even though that is enough. That is more than enough. As we read in Genesis, when he said, let there be light, it was more than enough for the sun to be like, hello, you called, you rang, right? So his word is more than enough, but he will step in to your traditions and make sure that it is plain, that it is sealed, right? And he says, Israel is my firstborn. This is my child. That's how I treat my nephew. That's my child. I don't care what my brother did. That's my son. Okay. I love me some Christian. That is my little nephew. That's my little baby. Okay. So God is saying, Israel belongs to me. This is my firstborn. And he means that when he says that. And trust me, the children of Israel know that for a fact because they are passing down all of their experiences with God, one to another. They are constantly passing this down. And we know that they're passing this down because they're not just passing it down through through word of mouth, but they're passing it down in tradition. They even eat differently. They talk differently. They dress differently because all of these are signs and symbols of their experiences with God. So they don't eat this type of meat, but they eat this type of meat because that one time that God talked to Jacob, you know what I mean? So everything is in remembrance of God. It's in homage to God, right? An homage, I should say, to God. So everything's being passed down. That's why we can read the history today and see its accuracy. That's why they found all of these manuscripts and they all matched up and they bound them all together into 66 books because all of this history, all these manuscripts, all of these writings and markings and everything, it all matches up. Even when Pharaoh said that each of the firstborn sons in Egypt, everybody, all of them shall be cast into the river. There are markings to this day. And I just watched a documentary the other day too about Egypt. But there are markings on the wall of the Egyptians casting the babies into the river. There are still markings on the wall to this day. So all of this history has been verified. As we're reading our history, we're noticing that there's a passing down of knowledge. And even to hold on to the knowledge, because word of mouth can get so messed up, right? How many times have you made a call and told them to call somebody else, and then by the time it come back to you, like, that's not what I said, right? But this knowledge is being passed down more accurately because they're changing their lifestyle around God. They're changing the way that they talk, the way that they eat, the way that they walk, the way that they dress around these experiences with God. So it's easy to remember what God has done. Okay, so I just want to give y'all some context so that y'all understand how to read the Bible. That's why this is called a Bible study, because I want y'all to understand how you should be reading, how you should take notes as you're reading the Bible. It's not just something you breeze through and be like, I read it, I'm smart. And you can start quoting scriptures to people like you somebody. You have to be able to put the pieces together, understand context, understand history. This is basically history class. This is history class on YouTube. Right? So I want y'all to be aware that you're taking a history class. Yes, it's Bible study, but this is a history class. Okay? All right. So let's keep reading. And we understand that God has made sure that Moses will be safe. So the men that were after him before won't be after him again. That's verse 19. I'm just going to go ahead and start reading again at verse 22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son. even my firstborn. And now we have context to that. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. So this is where we get all that eye for eye stuff from, right? Because God said, even though that's not the word anymore, right? That's why it's important to keep reading, because God is a progressive God, right? But God said, if you don't let my son go, I'm going to take your son, because this is God's son, right? Israel belongs to God. He is God's firstborn, right? And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. And it came to pass by the way in the end that the Lord met him and sought to kill him. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet and said, surely a bloody husband thou art to me. Whoa. I'm going to read that one more time. Then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and cast it at his feet and said, surely a bloody husband thou art to me. So he let him go. Then she said, a bloody husband thou art, because of the circumcision. Whew. So the circumcision, again, this is why we did that whole little, I did that whole little spiel a couple minutes ago about traditions and how things were passed down in remembrance of God. So it's very easy to remember all of these events because there's a marker for each time that God has come and talked to these men and has established his presence with them. And the circumcision is one of those things. And so what we're witnessing from Zipporah is what we would witness with any mother, right? And she like, what the heck are you doing to my kid? Right? And she like, what in the world are you doing to my son? Because she doesn't understand the circumcision. But Moses does. So that's what we're witnessing here, right? She like, heck no, don't, what? Hecky no. What are you doing to my kid? But, you know, mothers be sensitive, right? You carried that kid for almost a year in your belly. Mothers be sensitive. Okay. So verse 27, and the Lord said to Aaron, remember this is Moses' brother, go into the wilderness to meet Moses. And he went. And he met him in the mount of God and kissed him. So he embraced him, right? And Moses told Aaron all the words of God who had sent him, all the signs which he commanded him. And Moses and Aaron went and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aaron spake all the words which the Lord had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. And the people believed. And when they heard that the Lord had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked upon their affliction, then they bowed their heads and worshiped. So what we have going on here is we have this large group of men. So we have Moses, we have Aaron, and all the elders of the Hebrews, of the children of Israel. So you got this large group of men, and they're coming to the people, the Hebrews first, right? They're not going to Pharaoh first. They're coming to the people first because they have to get the people on board, right? So you go to the people first and they tell them all the things that God has done, and they start showing them the signs and the wonders of God directly, right? So they're gathering all the people together and they're going through and they're showing them. And we don't know how they gathered them all together, but we can assume it's probably in small groups, right? Because these people are under extreme servitude. So they can't just be like, yo, on the 15th, come meet us at the convention center, right? It probably took a while for them to go around to all of these people, to all of these groups, and show these signs and wonders, sort of like in private, right? Away from the Egyptians, so that they can establish who God is. Because mind you, even though the Hebrews have this rich tradition, they're still under the Egyptians, right? So they go to prove God, right? To show God's strength over all of this stuff that they've been learning or witnessing with the Egyptians. They're like, no, 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 no. God is real. And this God, the God of heaven, the God of our fathers, is going to rescue you. Not the little Egyptian stuff that y'all used to seeing, right? This is it. So they're going around and they're doing this. This is a large group. So for those who have watched The Prince of Egypt, it's a great cartoon. But remember, anytime you are watching anything on television about the Bible, it is entertainment. It is entertainment. It's clean entertainment. It's good entertainment. But is it accurate? Probably not. So it wasn't just Moses that went out, he was strong and went out talking and stuff like that. No, Moses went out with a big group of men, Aaron included as his brother. And Moses didn't speak. Moses told Aaron what to do, and Moses was there while Aaron was speaking to the people. Okay. So we're going to stop there. That's our 2 chapters for tonight. We read chapter 3 and chapter 4, and we're going to stop there, and we'll pick up on chapter 5 tomorrow and see what's going to happen. We have confirmation, though, already from God, because God always prepares you for your assignment. That is the think piece for tonight. God always, not sometimes, not he does it for some people, but not others. God always prepares you for your assignment. Always, always, always prepares you for your assignment. And if you are questioning whether you are prepared or not, that is on you to ask God to show you, because that's your father and you should be able to ask him anything. I ask my father anything, right? You talk to your dad, you talk to your mom, you ask them whatever's on your mind, right? So, I said tomorrow, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. Thank you, Rashad. Tomorrow's Saturday. Monday we will pick up on chapter 5. But you should be able to ask your father anything. So if you are not sure how you are prepared, just ask God. Reveal to me the things that you've done to prepare me for this, right? Even when it comes to this Bible study, I'll tell you very specifically when it comes to this Bible study, and the Lord told me to start doing this, and I received confirmation. I just picked it up and I did it that exact same night. That same night, I did it that same day, the same day that I got confirmation to do it. And he told me what time. He said 9:00. I picked it up that same day and I did it. I didn't even question it, because God had already showed me in the past, and I'd already been slowful about some other stuff that he told me to do. And I was determined to have on-time obedience, right? On-time obedience. So just with this Bible study, the Lord told me to do it, and I did it instantly. And I can tell you right now how I knew I was prepared to do it. I'm not saying that I was prepared to do this Bible study because I'm so smart and I've read the Bible 10 times. No. No. And honestly, I have read through the Bible kind of, sort of, a little, but not wholly and completely. I was not intentional. I did not understand what I was reading. I read everything as a separate event. And I read them as stories, I didn't read them as history, right? I read them as like these little fables, right? And I didn't understand what I was reading, everything. So was I prepared from that aspect? No. So how can I say I was prepared to do these Bible studies? How can I say that God prepared me to do this? Well, he prepared me to do this because he knew that at my heart, I'm a student. I'm a student at my heart. I love learning. I love it. I watch documentaries all the time. I literally just turned one off to do this. It's very good, y'all. It's called Shipwreck Hunters, something like that. Shipwreck Hunters Australia. Very good. Anyway, I will be turning it back on after this. But that is how I was prepared. I was prepared because I'm a student. So God knew that as I'm going through this Bible study, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to read slow. I'm going to break up the sentences, and I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop. I'm going to reflect. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to have my highlighters. I'm going to write. And that is what prepares me to be good for Bible study. Because I'm a student, not because I'm so smart and I'm so wise and I've read it 10 times. I have not. And I don't consider myself that smart and that wise, right? That is the only thing that I could think of is like, oh, God chose me because I'm a student, because I love learning, because I'm going to get on here and I'm going to be so excited. Right? And I'm going to be like, guys, right? That is what prepared me. So preparation isn't always what you think it is, right? It's not because you're the smartest, the wisest, the strongest. It's not because of the stuff that you see on TV and the stuff that you see on Instagram. And they tell you you can't do nothing unless you're this type of person, unless you're type A, and unless your personality profile is this, then you can't be a millionaire. All of that's foolishness. All of that's man-made. I hate personality tests. I hate all of that stuff because it's all foolishness. Don't none of that mean anything. You can be prepared just because you love to learn. You can be prepared to start a business just because you're passionate. And your passion is going to take you further than any business class will ever take you. It could be just that simple. You could be prepared to marry, not because you've been married before and you understand and you have great communication and you took psychology classes and you understand how women and men are different. You could be prepared for marriage just because you're ready to love. That could be your preparation. Not because you read all of the books and you wrote all of the devotionals and yeah. Right? You could just be prepared because you're ready to love, because your heart is open. It could be just that simple. So God prepares you for every assignment, every single one. How was Moses prepared? Even though Moses can't talk, Moses can't do this, Moses can't do that, Moses is prepared because of his passion. He was already prepared because he was already passionate about the children of Israel and their plight, right? This horrible thing that they were going through. He was so passionate about it from the beginning. From his youth, he was already passionate about it. Passion, that's enough. That was enough for God. He saw his passion and said, I'm gonna use you. I put that passion inside of you so that you would do this and do it without fail. And not take no for an answer. Somebody else who's not passionate, who was smart and wise and I can speak and they aren't the ones because they're not passionate. So they hear no one time and they like, you know what, skip it. I knew better. Right? And they don't want to do it no more. But because Moses was passionate, that was enough. He was prepared because he was passionate. And then God prepared him further and said, you're going to be told, no, this is going to happen. And then I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to do that. And then this is going to happen. He prepares you every single time for your mission. So if you're on a mission or you're doing something and you're questioning it, the reason why you can't get through it and you don't understand and you can't find peace is because you're questioning within yourself. Can't find the answer down here. The answer is with God. Ask God. Ask God to show you, to reveal to you, to open up your eyes, open up your understanding. Why do you think I pray that same prayer every time before we start this Bible study? Same prayer, same words, same order every time. because it's important to open up your understanding, to remove confusion, to ask God how this is going to help you in your daily life. And most importantly, bring me closer to you, God. Y'all should be saying that prayer every day. Y'all should be quoting it with me by now, especially my TikTok OGs. We've been doing this for a month straight. Y'all should be able to quote that with me. And y'all should be saying that every single time you are in question or you are in a state of confusion or whatever, because God is not the author of confusion, because he will help you to understand. So don't forget that prayer. Don't forget that prayer. Y'all should be able to quote it right now, by this time. God, open up my understanding, remove confusion, show me how this is going to help me throughout my daily life. And most importantly, allow this to draw me closer to you. You should be saying that with every assignment. You should be saying that at work. If work is getting on your nerve, say that at work. If your business is hitting the roadblocks, say that in your business. I'm one of the gingerbread. if business is slow, say that over your business. If your kids are going through puberty and they acting crazy and whatever, say that over your children. If you're going through something in life and you don't understand if God is talking to you, speak that over your life. But say it. Ask God to remove confusion, because he has already prepared you. Ask God to show you how. So that's our think piece for tonight. We will pick up on Monday morning. I totally forgot today was Friday. We will pick up Monday evening. What is wrong with me? I need to go to bed. We will pick up on Monday evening at 5. Lord Jesus, help me. At 9 p.m. Rewind. We will pick up on Monday evening at 9 p.m. We read and we do Bible study every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a great time with it. We have fun and we enjoy it very, 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 very much. We are trying to get through the Bible in a year. We think that would be awesome to read the entire Holy Bible in a year. We are not rushing through it, though. We are taking our time and breaking it down. We read from the King James Version, and we just have fun with it, y'all. We just have fun with it. So I am actually very excited that it is the weekend and that I do not have any plans. Can I get a hallelujah? Can I get a glory to God that I ain't got to do nothing tomorrow? I am going to bed, y'all. Yes, I'm an old lady, and yes, I am going to bed, for real. I'm about to turn that documentary right back on. Peace out. I love y'all with the love of Jesus. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Have a great night.